The second televised debate between Democratic Party presidential nominee Hillary Clinton and the Republican Party nominee Donald Trump ended on a high. The 90-minute debate saw both leaders focusing on personalities while questioning the credibility of their opponent. The debate also dipped into issues like foreign policy, minority rights, and improving the economic condition of the country. Here's a report.
Round 2 of Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton began on expected lines. Unlike the first debate, there were no handshakes this time, with both candidates ready for a bitter face-off. Under fire for comments he made in 2005, boasting about sexual assault, Trump went on the offensive.
That was locker room talk. I'm not proud of it. If you look at Bill Clinton, far worse, minor words, and his was action. His was what he's done to women. There's never been anybody in the history of politics in this nation that's been so abusive to women.
Clinton chose not to respond to the accusations against her husband, preferring to keep the focus on Trump's leaked comments.
He has said that the video doesn't represent who he is, but I think it's clear to anyone who heard it that it represents exactly who he is.
From there, the duo went on to spar over a range of issues, from Trump's proposed Muslim ban, the use of the phrase Islamic terror, to the war in Syria.
Please explain whether or not the Muslim ban still stands.
It's called extreme vetting.
He never apologized to Mr. and Mrs. Khan, the Gold Star family, whose son, Captain Khan, died in the line of duty in Iraq.
Radical Islamic terrorists. And she won't even mention the word, and nor will President Obama. He won't use the term radical Islamic terrorism.
Terrorists. We are not at war with Islam, and it is a mistake, and it plays into the hands of the terrorists to act as though we are.
But Syria is no longer Syria. Syria is Russia, and it's Iran, who she made strong, and Kerry and Obama. I think Aleppo is a disaster, humanitarian-wise.
What do you think will happen if it falls?
I think that it basically has fallen.
I would not use American ground forces in Syria. I think that would be a very serious mistake. I don't think American troops should be holding territory, which is what they would have to do as an occupying force. I don't think that is a smart strategy.
Trump's big moment, however, came as he hit out at Clinton over the email controversy that has dogged her campaign.
If I win, I am going to instruct my Attorney General to get a special prosecutor to look into your situation, because there has never been so many lies, so much deception.
That was a mistake, and I take responsibility for using a personal email account. Obviously, if I were to do it over again, I would not. I'm not making any excuses. It was a mistake, and I am very sorry about that.
With just a month to go for the election and the pressure that Trump was under from Republicans in Congress over his lewd remarks, most analysts were expecting Clinton to deliver the knockout blow in St. Louis. While polls still suggest that the Democratic candidate walked away with a win in the second debate, Trump did manage to hold his ground, exceeding expectations. Bureau Report, WION.
Joining me for more on that story is Mr. Atul Singh. He's the founder, CEO and editor-in-chief of Fair Observer. Atul, thanks so much for joining us here on WION. Let's start by having you weigh in on the second debate. Who does that round go to?
I think on the whole, Donald did come out okay. There's no clear winner, but he did limit the damage the leaks had done to him. Frankly, the debates per se probably won't amount to that much, because people have already made their minds up. These are two hugely disliked, highly polarizing candidates. And yesterday, they therefore played to their base. They, especially Donald. Donald just tore into Hillary left, right, and center. And what you saw was a demonstration of reality television at its worst. He doesn't answer any question. He is someone who makes baseless allegations, someone who lies through his teeth, actually. and is quite successful at doing so. He gets away with everything. It's actually seeing the theater of the absurd in the land of manifest destiny.
All right, theatre of the absurd, all right, but it seems like you're pointing out that the debate was characterized by some very personal attacks, and the televised debates...
Well, he said he would send, wait a minute, he said he would send Hillary to jail.
Right.
If he was in charge, he'd be in jail. That's as personal. That's never been done in American history. Never, ever been done in American history, despite the extreme ideological divides at times, including those over segregation. So it is historic, absolutely historic.
And so far as the televised debates go, now we've seen, a fair following created not just within the United States, but across the world. Even here in India, people tune in for those debates. And yesterday's, sort of bout that went on between the two of them was characterized, like you're saying, by a lot of personal attacks. So could we also say that this was a very low point in the history of televised debates?
Well, it's the nadir. First of all, Americans don't know how to debate. They simply don't grow up in a culture of banter or argument. It's not like the Oxford Union. I mean, when I was at Oxford, you'd have a low-level debater clean both of these chaps up, or both the lady and the gentleman up. So there is a huge, decline in discourse in America per se, and in televised debate, this represents, to my mind, the nadir. Now, we may go even lower in the future, but this is by far the worst that I can remember forever.
Right, there is one more that's coming up. Let's also talk about that video, the 2005 video that surfaced recently of Mr. Trump making those rather lewd comments about women. Now, we've heard the Republicans, some of them pulling out, their favor for Mr. Trump.
Sure.
And a lot of people have been talking about that footage, not just in the US, but around the world. But really speaking, you said that voters have already made up their mind in terms of who they're going to go with. You think that video is going to have any impact really on Mr. Trump's chances of, seeing off Miss Clinton?
Well, it may, certainly. That video is damaging, particularly for his conservative supporters. Remember, this is a man who brags about seducing married women and is supposedly leading the party of family values that opposes abortion, that opposes stem cell research. This is not just absurd. It is grotesque. Let's go back to what he's saying in the video. Now, that is obviously really terrible. He tries to dismiss it as locker room talk, but it goes well beyond locker room talk. And I speak as an ex-officer. I think what Trump is doing here is he's reflecting something deep in American society. It is not something that is the exception. In certain jock circles, this is quite the norm. Remember, the Stanford rapist got away because the judge also went to Stanford and was a former athlete. So what he is doing here is reflecting a society that is at the same time puritanical, but at the same time commodifies women's bodies. So will he sway voters? The conservatives, yes, but a lot of the jocks now will double down behind him. A lot of the people who come from the macho elements of American society, they have decided he's a true man because he's the alpha male. He is success. Part of his appeal is he's successful, he's rich, he has pretty women around him. Therefore, he is a modern-day monarch who can lead this country to greatness again, make America great again. Well, most of it is claptrap. It's nonsense. I could use worse words, but I won't. But it holds sway for the American mind, and that's the catch, and that's the worrying thing.
Also, you've brought up his, the jock culture and the fact that most of those comments that he made were misogynistic, they're sexist. Let's also talk about the fact that he went after Hillary Clinton's husband, who just happens to be a former president of the United States as well. Have you found that because it's a woman who is standing up against him, it's really fair game to bring up anything? Would you have seen the same sort of attack being made on a man running for president so far as his wife's alleged misdemeanors go?
I think here, Hillary being a woman didn't make much of a difference. He would have gone after a man's wife in any case and made it out that the man was weak and unable to keep his own wife. I think Donald will go after you in any way possible. And the Clintons are a highly imperfect couple. I've written a lot. In fact, I write The World this week, and I wrote The Age of Donald Trump, and I acknowledged, that he is living off certain points that are valid. And then I wrote something, Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid, The Next World this week. That was about, look, people who are genuinely democratic are uneasy about the Clintons' shady dealings. And I don't need to go into them. They would cover pages and pages, probably rooms. So power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I'm not saying that the Clintons are corrupt, but they are certainly good at optimizing and benefiting from a highly corrupt system. And they've skirted too close to the law. So the Clintons provide him enough cannon fodder to attack them. And now Donald Trump is a bully. He'll attack you at wherever he perceives your weakness. He attacked Jeb Bush over the war and said he had no energy. He attacked Marco Rubio for sweating like a pig. He attacked Ted Cruz on the spurious grounds that his father might have been involved in killing JFK. So he is going to, Donald is going to spew falsehoods and just try and get under you. He's the modern day version of the barbarian at the gate who will chop heads and then play football with them.
All right, Atul, clearly, so there is a very difficult choice facing American voters, really between, as you're saying, perhaps...
No, it's not a choice. It's not a choice. It's not a choice. The choice is whether you'll go vote for a demagogue who will turn into a dictator, who will threaten to lock up people who doesn't like, who is going to basically behave like a Roman Emperor Caligula and rape whoever he wants, or you'll vote for someone who may not be entirely clean, but is certainly not going to turn into a dictator. So the choice is between a demagogue, dictator, a bit like Mussolini, and someone who is, shall we say, corrupt and damaged, but generally far, far, far better on the whole than the dictatorial choice. So I don't think there's much of a choice, really.
Well, we'll have to wait and watch and see how exactly that does go forward. But on that note,
yeah.
Atul, thanks so much for joining us and chatting with us on the second televised debate. Can't wait to watch the third one as well. Have a good night.
Excellent. Bye.